Okay.
Hi, Greg.
Hello.
We're recording. Long time no see.
Yeah, what's the latest? Is
Well,
it still smoky?
I started to work on your book again and figure out where I left off, and um, it got all smoky again. So I stopped and called you. I can't breathe.
It doesn't look very smoky in your basement there.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Um, it's smoky. I've been surrounded by smoke for about 3 weeks now. I can't
I
breathe.
know. It's unreal.
I try to go to sleep. I can't breathe. I sit up. I can't breathe. Um, just, I don't know if it's the smoke or the coronavirus.
I'd say it's the smoke right now.
I'm really getting worn out though. I don't know. I got terrible sore throats, like I have strep throat, only I don't have any tonsils. So it's got to be a really bad something.
I can't even imagine having to deal with all that.
I watched your Apollo's Gate video. It's funny how my license was signed by the Stargate, and you're talking about the Apollo Gate. And in New York,
Yeah.
where they stole my trademark, bottom line, you have all the musicians, all the white musicians at the bottom line, and then you have all the black comedians and musicians and the gays and women who support them at the Apollo.
Huh.
And I don't think you know your friend Jonathan Basie opened up that can of worms.
Yeah.
And then in Detroit, where I was born, Diana Ross uses my trademark to this day, bottom line, singing at the casinos. And I grew up with all the black people at Motown, played music with them. And I have my own white band. And then on the day everybody got MC Hammer, I was hit over the head with a sledgehammer at Livonia Dump. I still got the scar on my head to prove that.
Yeah, I saw it.
Now here we have the slaves of Apollo, owned by the black pharaohs, the white man, Moses. And they're still fighting in my life. My family authored the King James Bible, and I still have Apollo fighting me. How many centuries later?
It is really interesting how far back this goes.
That's exactly what's going on. And Apollo, the gates of Apollo are the gays.
Yeah.
I don't think it, I know it. The gays and the blacks attacked me at birth. You know, Indians, gays, and blacks, they hate white men. And I was attacked by the people that brought all the slaves here. My cousin, the Queen in London, attacked me with her secret service and the FBI she controls. They kidnapped me. I don't think it, Greg. I know it.
Yeah.
What have you been up to?
Well, not a whole lot. Finally started exercising.
What for?
Because I'm getting fat.
Oh, gee. How fat are you, Greg?
Well, I mean, I'm 6'3", so you can't really tell, but I'm about 250 pounds.
Well, I'm catching up to you, but I think I'm only 230 at the moment, trying to lose weight. After you hit 60, you'll really gain weight. So it's best if you can lose all you can now. When I moved here to California, I weighed 135 pounds and I'm 6'3", and I was all muscle. and I put on 100 pounds, sitting here doing nothing because the government pretends I don't exist and they won't solve the murders of my 4 wives. And the media has spent the last 10 years discrediting me and telling people that I interject myself into things when they interjected themselves into my life and stole my trademark and my birth name. The same people tell the world that I interjected myself into their lives, which is complete nonsense and BS. From the controlled propaganda media coming out of the White House since they murdered my cousins, the Kennedys, way back in '63.
Well, I saw pictures of the Queen, who looks a lot like your Aunt Gardner.
Oh, she looks just like my mother.
Yeah, yeah, they all three looked
I showed
like.
you a picture of my mother, and they look like twins. Princess Diana looked just like my sister, and there's no lie. Admiral Byrd is one of my family members, so I'm related to all the kings of Europe, Greg. You know.
Yeah, and it's pretty obvious. And then you told me that
In
I think
1776, we kicked our own cousins off the Delaware Bridge and told my cousin King George to get the hell out of the country. We told him we
when
were his equal, and now everybody attacks me.
right.
For the last 4 generations of my family, the Queen's Knights attacked me here in America.
And yet they still recognize you as family, because when the Queen would come to America, she would invite either your mother or your aunt, I forget which one you said, out to go eat with her.
Yeah, my mother went and had dinner with the Queen. In Canada, they twice, 3 times now, they've tried me to get me to move back to London or to Canada. The Cruz family offered me 60 apartments and 60 acres of land in Canada when they murdered my wife Victoria in 2011. Cruz tried to be my girlfriend and offered me 60 acres of land and a nursery and 60 apartments. And when I refused, they murdered my friend Margaret Thatcher. And then you got Bob Ford doing his cocaine dance in Parliament there as the Boston bombing happened, and all those events were related to the murder of my wife and my life.
The Supreme Court's been wanting to put, the president, I'm sorry, my thoughts are jumbled. Since the Supreme Court vacancy opened up, I've noticed that Ted Cruz is going out trying to sort of make his voice known, because I think he wants to get on the Supreme Court. So it's interesting that you've mentioned him. I don't think he's going to make it, but or get nominated.
Because he's a Cuban. His father was a draft dodger, and he grew up in Canada. Why Texans would make him a senator is just beyond reality to me. Texas,
Yeah,
home of the Alamo and the Free People, make a Cuban their senator. It makes no sense to me, Greg.
with dual citizenship from Canada. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, at the same time, we have Harris.
Texas like electing the London throne nowadays. That's all I know.
Yeah, it is.
And the whole country does the same. They get a lot of payola from the Queen's Swiss bank account. And I don't think it, Greg. I know it.
There seems to be both a liberal and a conservative side to both the ways that they copy your life. They'll put a liberal side and a fake conservative side, and they'll always mark the same thing. Like you went to school with Ben Tucker, and then there was Tucker Carlson on Fox, and then what was the other Tucker we were talking about the other day?
I went to school with Ben Tucker, and Alex Jones supposedly got let in.
That's right. That's right.
Let into where I live by a Tucker. And then
Tucker went Big Ben Tucker or whatever his name was.
Here's the interesting thing, Greg, is when I drove truck across country at my business Bottom Line to transport things I needed, the Powell family whenever I had to, like when I was in Florida, I had strapped myself under a bridge between Key West and Key Largo with my belt and left my vehicle up on the E-way. And 2 days of a hurricane riding it out, strapped under a girder in between two keys on that highway that goes to Key West where I lived. The Powell family came and rescued me in Florida. When I was in New York,
Huh. Really?
when I was in New York, the guy driving my truck while I slept in the sleeper, he had a car going down a mountain in Wilkes-Barre and dragged 3 kids a mile and a half down a mountain. That was Mr. Fields. You know W.C. Fields. Well, I was with one of his grandsons, Mr. Fields, and we were taking pharmaceuticals around the country from New Jersey, where they store and make most of the pharmaceuticals in this country. Well, he hit these kids at 3 in the morning. They were high and drunk and swerved in front of my truck.
Mm-hmm.
And he hit them, and they ended up underneath the trailer of my truck, and we dragged them 2 miles down a mountain. Actually saved those 3 kids' lives, because if he hadn't hit them and dragged them back into the guardrail, they would have went off the mountain. And
Yeah.
they would have died because it was a mile and a half up. They would have just tumbled down the mountain and burned. So he actually saved these 3 teenagers' lives by hitting them and dragging them into the guardrail median and then riding them down the mountain. And gee, the Powell family showed up there too. And then I was in New York, and I bought tires for a vehicle. I drove to a publisher's meeting and all 4 of the tires blew up a mile and a half down the E-way, leaving the business. I just put the 4 tires on. All of them were dry rotted, and the belts just blew right out the sides. So I'm stranded, and gee, who shows up? The Powell family again.
Huh.
If you noticed on the link I put up yesterday, well, who heads the money?
I don't think I saw it.
You didn't see it? Here, I'll share the screen, and hopefully it records, and I'll share it with you right now. And let me know if you can see. Can you see the screen there?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I'll scroll down here. And then here's the Federal Reserve Board Chairman, see it?
Oh, Powell. That's what you were saying.
Yeah, Jerome
P-O-W.
Powell.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll head to Capitol Hill this week for 3 days of testimony and what will likely be his last chance to try to push Congress towards another coronavirus relief bill. Now, you can see this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that family, whenever I have problems all over the country, they show up and they're policemen all over the country, the Powell family.
Yeah, you want mine? Yeah.
That's interesting, isn't it?
It is.
Especially when you realize that all my family members have been put on the Federal Reserve money. That's real interesting, isn't it?
Huh.
So I'm going to stop this share now. And go back to full screen if it's possible. So you see that Powell family at the Federal Reserve, they've followed me around all my life.
Hmm.
And then I'm Andrew Jackson's family on the 20, and Clara Harris was with Lincoln, and I grew up with the Lincoln family when he was murdered. And then all the Kennedys were working with me at my publishing company as they were murdered. And on and on and on.
And that's why you have Kamala Harris today, right?
All these people have been put on the Federal Reserve money. Yeah, and Kamala Harris from India, I think she's a Pakistani myself. Her and her husband are attorneys who studied out of my stolen trademark bottom line to pass the bar exam as entertainment lawyers who helped steal my birth name and trademark all over the globe, all the way back, you know, and when DuPont did that with Weiner and Associates next to Dire Straits' house. There's Mr. Emhoff, Camilla's husband, an entertainment lawyer studying out of my stolen trademark from Stanley Sadowski and Alan Pepper.
The Queen's fingerprints are all over her because here you got, okay, she's from Jamaica and supposedly India or Pakistan or whatever. So far they say India, but, or yeah, India, Sri Lanka, the province in India, both of which were the Queen's colonies. And now she uses the Harris name to mark you, but her father actually was a slave trader, not a slave owner. So here she is going around being portrayed as a former, you know, descendant of a slave, and everybody around her is saying that she's black, even though she won't say she's black. She just says she's brown. But
she's not black.
Everybody around, right?
She's lucky if she's even an eighth black.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
She's the very family that brought the slaves to America for.
Yeah, her dad even said that right there in his own book,
yeah,
and we've listed that before.
And then she wants you and I to pay reparations for what her Pakistani India family from the Queen of London did, and they want me to be their slave again. I mean, it ain't gonna happen. I won't pay any restoration to anybody, Indian, black, or anyone.
Right. Okay. So they stole the, you know, they worked through the bottom line to get their license. They're right there in California, and darn it, I just lost my train of thought. I hate it when I do that. Oh yeah, the Queen is now her family is all getting involved in Netflix with Obama. Obama put Susan Rice on the board of directors of Netflix right before coronavirus showed up.
The Rice family runs the Oakland Mall where I was detained for Jimmy Hoffa's murder, and the Rice family and the Barr family, and have hidden my truth of who really murdered JFK with the gays who did. And you know, you know that the gays attacked me at birth. And they were all governors, and then the gays have been covering me up in all media for 7 decades now, and they get their payola from the Queen. They live in Sweden.
That's why she knights all of them.
What's that?
That's why she knights all of them.
Yeah, she knights all the gays. That's right. Like Mick Jagger, he came across and said, "Who killed the Kennedys?" After all, it was me and Hugh. And I had just signed his contract to play at Joe Louis Arena at Local 5 Musicians Union in Detroit.
And Elton John.
I was playing with John Kane of Steppenwolf, who wrote the song "Fire All Your Guns at Once and Explode into Space." He was in my band at my high school, John Kane. And it's just unbelievable what's really going on and how blind Americans are to the truth, you know?
Yeah. So Obama, who is the Queen's #1 person raised there in Kenya, I believe. And then
James Bond in the White House. I don't doubt it. And then him and his wife, Michelle, were both lawyers too, studying out of my stolen trademark. And my trademark was in Stationers Hall in London. It was in 262 countries. It was in every country on earth. And it was a federal publishing license, and it was stolen from me. And then the Queen moved in with her gays and her attorneys, and now they all want to be senators and presidents and governors, and they're doing a good job at it.
Yeah, oh yeah, they've already had the White House, and then And they can just go right into Netflix straight from. It just doesn't make sense to go from UN ambassador straight to the board of Netflix,
Yeah, and
and
before
then right as
before it was
coronavirus
Netflix,
comes in.
before it was Netflix, it was CNN and Fox.
Yeah,
CNN is Anderson
right.
Cooper. Anderson and Cooper raped me and my daughter. 30 years apart. Anderson raped me, Cooper raped my daughter. You got the Minnie Cooper in London. And this is just one example of the London throne and her knights attacking my family, who threw King George off the Delaware Bridge in 1776. And nobody helps me. Everybody's blind to what's really going on. They throw out these the Masons are bad, and the Illuminati wants to kill everybody, and they discredit me and everything. And my ancestor wrote the Declaration of Independence and made everybody free who's complaining that I want to kill everyone. And I don't kill anybody, and you know that, Greg.
Right.
I'm
They
on
keep
all your
setting up
money.
Bill Gates to keep talking about cures for coronavirus and stuff while they're all trashing him on the side. And I don't even think he's put together in his head that he's constantly being set up to talk about it. He really just needs to be quiet and quit talking about it, because they're doing that to him on purpose
Well,
and
I
trying
don't
to
think
make
he
him
even
look
cares.
bad.
I don't
Yeah.
care what they say about me. I know I'm saying truth, and I know Bill Gates is my cousin. I grew up with the Gates family. The very family the Gates family grew up with, the Willis family, puts Gates down. He puts them down on YouTube and on radio and TV. Willis and Gates grew up together. Mrs. Strader raised both families. And I don't think these things, Greg. I lived it. I played baseball with Willis. Willis was the biggest baby on the baseball team. Every time he got a strike or missed catching a ball, he started crying, fell to his knees and cried half the afternoon. I know who
So
the
much for
Willis.
Die Hard, huh?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Well, Sylvester Stallone was the same way. Sylvester Stallone is from the Ukraine. You know, uh, I don't think these things. I live these things. Sylvester Stallone's wife dated me and my girlfriend on Belle Isle. And when I say dated, we used to go out and tan together and go swimming together and have lunch and breakfast together at a beach. You know, and we did that for weeks and weeks and weeks, back before anybody knew Sylvester Stallone.
He was a bit of a ninny, huh?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
much for
These
Rocky.
guys are tough guys. No, they're actors, and you know, no. If you want to know the real tough guy, it was the veterans that come back from World War II. People like Kennedy and my father, and Jimmy Hoffa and Gerald Ford. The people that fought World War II and come back, they were the tough guys. These actors in Hollywood like Dustin Hoffman and Sylvester Stallone, they're not tough guys.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, that's all make believe. Half of them aren't even over 6 foot tall, and they just look good because of steroids. You know, because of makeup and steroids. They stand on egg cartons so they look taller than they are as they do the fight scenes and things. It's just made up baloney, Greg.
Yeah, it's like Robert Downey Jr. He's a real short guy, and they have to make him look taller to make him look like a hero for
Well, they do that to
Avengers.
tons of them. And you look at Hollywood, and everybody in the Hollywood movies who was people's heroes, they're all Russians.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because of Ed Asner. He brought all the Ukrainians here. That's why Joe Biden and the Clintons are over in Ukraine, because they want all that Hollywood money. That's why they're there, Greg. It's all payola from Russia.
Mm-hmm.
And these things, Stallone and Ed Asner and Dustin Hoffman, they were in the Hollywood movies when Russia was still the USSR, not when Ukraine was free. So you got presidents in the White House getting payola from the Russian government, the real Russian government, to this day. And that's what they're fighting over in Ukraine, that Russian money, before they broke up after Chernobyl.
And if anybody doesn't know that it's a rich city over there, they should go look at some pictures of the capital of Ukraine. Astana. That's an amazingly developed, very modern
Your
city.
generation doesn't even understand why that country broke up. And I'm not going to go into that in this video. But I'm 70 years old and I'm tired of the con being put forth from Hollywood and in all the media. You know that Garrett at CBS helped murder my attorney, covered up my wife's murder. My wife was dismembered, murdered, sodomized, her throat slit Halloween Day. And Garrett at CBS covered it all up on the Manning Ranch. And you know I'm not lying, Greg. I got an open murder case. They just won't hear it because the district attorneys are people like Slater and Barr, and they've spent lifetimes hiding my truth. They've spent 7 decades hiding my truth of who really murdered Kennedy.
Oh, we were talking a little bit about Tucker there a little bit ago, and this is I'm going to read a paragraph or two here out of a chapter of the book here.
I went to kindergarten class with Ben Tucker and Alex Jones and Randy Jones.
Mm-hmm.
And then Paul was my business manager at Bottom Line. And that's the generation before Ron Paul. So I'm real tired of the con and the media. The people I just mentioned, they all profited from 9/11.
I'll read a couple of paragraphs here to you, and then after I read them, you comment. You haven't got this far in the book yet that I've sent you, so it'd be interesting. Is you can tell me if anything is. No, this is your book. This is, but this is one chapter.
Searching and writing. Well, if there's anything that I feel is incorrect, I'm going to tell you, and I'm recording this live, so don't get embarrassed. But I want the book to be true.
Yeah. No, it comes, a lot of it's from our notes and stuff too, but it'll be interesting, and then people can hear it live too as we work on it. But okay, so and this goes back to the Queen and the gays and everything too. The film Bohemian Rhapsody gives the story about Freddie Mercury from the Village People and the Queen, and Queen.
Hold it right there. Mm-hmm. I own BB Street in the village of Warren, and you got the Warren Report. And you got BB Net and Huey. I'm Huey. I own BB Street. And Trump's wife, at Christmas time, she says, "Be best." That's BB Street. Freddie Mercury is where his lead guitar player stole my name. He came from Germany and used Billy Squire as his name. And his name isn't Squire, it's Mr. Craig. And this is as they had already stolen my trademark. Freddie Mercury and the Village People, they started marking me with songs like YMCA in the village of Warren as they murdered Bobby Kennedy. And then when they stole my trademark, DuPont and the Rasslers like Steve Austin and Ventura, you got Mercury, the gay Queen. His lead guitar player took my first name after they raped me. Remember, they raped me, Greg, when I was 4. The music people, Paul and Osborne, and I even my girlfriend in Michigan at that time when Billy Squire, who was a gay from Freddie Mercury's band, stole my name, Squire.
But I'm amazed at their name, Hugh. I'm amazed how they called themselves Queen. That's an obvious reference in my mind to the Queen.
The Queen, not the Queen of London. The Queen, gays have a queen.
No, I know that. I understand that. I think it's a double meaning. I think they're yelling back to.
Everything they do is a double meaning. I'm living proof of that. You got Huey Lewis, and his real name is not Huey. That's my real name. They don't.
But I think they're paying homage to the Queen that knights them all just by calling themselves that.
Whose basement was I chained in?
Osborne.
Okay, my girlfriend in 6th grade was who? Sharon Collins.
Yeah.
And she asked me to marry her twice in my lifetime, Sharon Collins. She was born in America. Her father and mother were from London. We went to Gordon J. Warner School together. We did our homework together. We played in band from elementary school through high school, me and Sharon Collins. So I was chained to a toilet at 4 after being kidnapped in Mr. Osborne's basement, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, Ozzy Osbourne, what is his wife's name?
Sharon. Yeah.
Sharon Collins. So,
Right.
you want to talk about a dual meaning?
Yeah. I see.
And my whole life is like that, Greg. I was born with a twin who doesn't
So
exist.
it makes pretty good sense then that they would call themselves Queen, and that would refer back to the Queen that's knighting them, and the knight and Elton John, and how they're attacking you,
Not
and
only Elton John, she knighted the Beatles for giving you
yeah,
drugs.
the Beatles, yeah.
The Beatles gave you Hat Ashbury, LSD, drugs, right during the Vietnam War.
Right.
She knighted
Makes
them.
a lot of sense.
They murdered the Kennedys. The gay Stone come over here, Mick Jagger, and he says, "Who killed the Kennedys?" After all, it was me and Hugh. He married Hall, and gee, who kidnapped me with Osborne, Greg?
Um, Andrews and Anderson and Hall.
Yeah, Daryl Hall. And then who did Mick Jagger marry? The Hall family.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
you want to talk about double meanings? My life is loaded with them, and all the duality is coming from London, and the London
Oh, and I've,
Crown and her Knights.
yeah. So I'm definitely right on track here with this Bohemian Rhapsody and the Queen and all this. So I'll keep reading it. Okay. Try to get a couple paragraphs here, and maybe it'll make
And
sense.
then remember,
Oh,
Greg, when all of this was going down, I owned Bottom Line Publishing, and I had a federal license and a trademark for Bottom Line Publishing, and I got it via Weiner and Associates across the street from Dire Straits' house at Ted's Restaurant, and I ran Ted's Restaurant, and I also played there with John K. the Steppenwolf.
yeah. When you were 15.
Yes,
Yeah.
in my high school band. That's correct.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. That is
So
pretty amazing.
go on.
Yep. And Mick Jagger said, after all, it was me and you, but you were sitting in the front line, and he looked at you and he said Hugh that day, that he was
That's correct.
singing
That's
straight to
correct.
you. Yeah.
He thought that I was.
Word, and because somebody will Google that, Hugh, and they'll say,
Yeah,
no, the words are me
because
and
they
you.
chained
But
me to a
yeah.
toilet and used me for sex and pornography, and then he married into the very family that did that to me. He just took it for granted that little Hugh was gay, and I'm not. You can't
Right.
make somebody gay by chaining them to a toilet and having sex with them. I'm sorry, it don't work that way. I
Right.
don't date men, I date women. I married 4 times, and then those gays murdered my wife 4 times, and our media covered it up, Greg, and you know this is truth.
Oh, yeah.
I
We
have
got a
open murder
whole lot of
cases.
that.
They don't solve by design.
Yeah. Okay, so I said the film Bohemian Rhapsody gives the story about Freddie Mercury from the Village People and Queen, all part of the gay movement, while its name clearly pays homage to the Queen. The
And here, this is
original.
real important, Greg. At the
Okay.
same time, Oswald, who they framed for Kennedy's murder, he was bunkmates with Osborne, who kidnapped me and chained me to a toilet.
Right.
All right.
Right. Yeah, we
This
had
is the
Anderson and
story that they're
Andrews that
hiding.
were rapists.
This is the story that they're hiding. And the Baker family is my great great grandmother. Mrs. Baker is my grandmother.
Yeah, yeah, you're related to all that. I know. Anderson and Andrews, the 2 rapists in Osborne's basement, that makes sense that they would go together with A and D and A and D. So, and they were in the military. Then you had Osborne and Oswald, OS. So it makes sense that they were in the
Right.
barracks
I was
together.
attacked by people in our own military. And I'll tell you why, Greg. My family was writing the songs Elvis Presley was singing in his movies and in Vegas.
Yeah.
Alexa?
And your relatives write books about David Ferry, and David Ferry was another gay pedophile, even right there in the books. I'm not making anything up. That's what they say in the books. And right there, it tells you, okay, so you had gay pedophile priests and stuff right there around Oswald, and they talk about how they were a lot of times in gay bars. And then there's that connection right there, Osborne and Oswald. Osborne raped you, Oswald killed Kennedy, and they were around gays all the time, like
Yeah,
David Ferry. It makes perfect sense.
Then there's the Hall family. That's the other connection. You had Daryl Hall's TV, and who kidnapped me? Daryl Hall and
Yeah.
Osborne. and they were both gays, and they raped me. I was 4 years old. They raped me in that basement, chained to a toilet, and they beat kids to death. And I don't think it, Greg. I lived it. I watched it happen. And then L. Brooks Patterson covered it all up. No, there's no mention of me in anything anywhere. Nothing. Just like when they arrested me for Jimmy Hoffa after dumping dead kids on my properties for 20 years in Oakland County. The FBI detained me for Jimmy Hoffa's murder 4 hours after he disappeared, 6 hours the next day after he disappeared from the Sly Fox. It's not even possible. It was a complete government setup from the FBI. They detained me. From me.
Well, get this, Hugh, because this song, Bohemian Rhapsody, guess when it came out? It came out the year of Hoffa's murder, 1975.
I'm real aware of all of that, Greg, and I own BB Street, and that's Trump's wife's B. Best Street.
Yeah, none of this is a coincidence.
And no, nothing in my life is coincidence. And Roseanne Barr and Kathy O'Brien lived down the street from me, and they covered up and pretended they were me and the kids being murdered on radio and TV run by the Graham family. Back then you had Billy Graham and Senator Graham, and they all knew me, Greg.
Yeah, and they're all on TV.
I was the Baker family, and I owned Baker College at birth. It was on Hugh Street next to D'Angelo's Pizzeria. And today, right now, you have the cop D'Angelo. He just murdered and raped 200 women. They prosecuted him for the murders of 10 or 20 of them just this past month.
Yeah, about 175 people altogether.
They tell you Pizzagate, and they circumvent D'Angelo and the pizzeria that was really kidnapping the kids and handing them to Osborne, and L. Brooks Patterson and his whole police force, and Sheriff Hackle and McComb. They knew this was going on, and they knew I'd been kidnapped and raped, and their own kids went to school with me and knew my truth.
And all the people pretending to be victims, like Roseanne Barr, they're all on TV doing just fine, hiding reality. And the real people that were actually raped and everything, they're all hidden.
Right.
So,
and
or dead.
Her and her husband, Dan, and this is no, remember she had that TV show with Dan, her husband, her real life husband from Michigan. Well, who raped my daughter? Dan.
Yeah, Cooper. Yeah,
and
Dan Cooper.
All of this, Greg. And then you have Anderson Cooper. Anderson raped me at 4. Cooper raped my daughter at 7. This is like unbelievable. And then my wife was Nancy. You have CNN, Anderson Cooper. How much clearer can that be that your government runs propaganda through cable TV to everybody in the world?
Yeah.
And Fox is no different. Huey Squire Avenue, Rupert Murdoch lives on Huey Squire Avenue in London.
Now watch this when I read the words to the Queen's song Bohemian Rhapsody, which came out in the year of Jimmy Hoffa's death, 1975. Yeah. Here it is. Easy come, easy go. Will you let me go? Bismillah. No, we will not let you go. Let him go. Bismillah. No, we will not let you go. Let him go. Bismillah. We will not let you go. Let me go. Will not let you go. Let me go. Never. Never, never, never let me go. Okay. No, so it sounds like they're changing it to Bismillah.
Well, they've stalked me for a lifetime and murdered my wives, Greg.
Yeah, but Bismillah right there is actually, okay, and here's what I wrote about it. Okay, the rest of the song has absolutely nothing to do with Islam. So, but the internet sites try to explain that Bismillah here refers to the beginning words of the Quran, which mean in the name of Allah. But rather, this was nothing less than the Queen's reference to the pedophile attack to Ms. Miller. They're saying Bismillah, but they say it so that it sounds like they're saying Ms. Miller.
I bought a house for the Miller. And Miller worked for me. Her uncle worked for me, and then he wrote a book, said he killed Hoffa, or somebody wrote a book, said he called Hoffa, and the FBI said they found a little spot of Hoffa's blood.
And that's why this came out in 75. And this real Miss Miller was actually raped by the same pedophiles that you were.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly right. She was raped by the very same people 10 years later. They cut her throat with a knife and she got the knife away at 12 years old, stabbed him in the stomach and ran. And that's absolutely right. And gee, that was at D'Angelo's Pizza on Hughes Street in Vance. And it's all in Oakland County, right where I owned Hughes Street and Baker College. And the high school, when they murdered Kennedy, Fitzgerald High School closed for Oakland County, and the Hazel Park High School opened on Hughes Street. I owned it. That was my aunt and uncle.
All these pieces just fit together so well.
Con, Greg, this con comes right from the gay political movement, the gay political party. They murdered the President Kennedy, and the people telling you they murdered Kennedy are part of that cover up, hiding and protecting the gays, period.
Right.
And I'm not mentioning any names, but you know I'm telling you truth.
Oh, I get it.
And you know, as these people die, I told you to release videos we've made. I don't want to be the reason for their death.
Sure.
So as they die, release the videos we've done in the past and tell truth.
Right.
Because the government never will, and you know they won't.
Right, right. And
Now,
I see what's really
Greg,
going on.
Greg, in your research, you ran across right after they killed Kennedy and Nixon took his place, remember?
Yeah.
And then Nixon ended the draft.
Johnson.
Nixon the Vietnam draft right on my number, S53. I'm Squire 53. That was my draft number. He ended it right at me, but I had already volunteered to go to Vietnam at Fort Knox. Okay.
Huh.
Now, who took his place?
That's very interesting.
Greg, who took Spiro Agnew's place at Watergate?
Remind me? I don't know.
Gerald Ford.
Forgot.
Gerald Ford.
Oh, you mean the president after him? Okay.
Yeah, what's Gerald Ford's real name?
Yeah, well, it's Gardner and King.
Yeah, and who's Gardner and King?
Yeah, that's your relatives again.
Ah, you're looking at me, right?
All right.
And then who was running Ford's mansion? My uncle Tony Squire. You know, and so and Gerald Ford was the victim of a hit. They tried to murder him too.
I'm not aware of that. Interesting.
Oh yeah, look into it.
I will.
Yeah, look into it. I'm pretty sure yesterday was the anniversary of the day they tried to kill Gerald Ford. Or it might be today.
Huh.
Yeah,
that is
but
interesting.
he's my family member too, Greg. And then people call me a liar and tell me I interject myself into things. My family members had to pretend they were somebody else just so they could be president and run the country because you had a gay political movement killing everybody.
Yeah.
You realize that, Greg?
Right, right. I'm wondering about that one Senator Gardner now. Makes me wonder if they're going after him or anything. I'm going to keep an eye on him too. Hopefully he's okay.
Well, they're taking over all my family names. The people now like Kamala Harris. She's not my family member.
Right. Yeah, he could be a fake one, right?
The Harris family and the Smithsonian, which is my family, and who were your presidents, they're no part of Kamala Harris or Joe Biden. They're using my family's names after stealing my trademark and my birth name.
Yeah, so he's probably one of the replacements.
Now they're stealing my grandfather and grandmother and mother's names. You understand? So they can be the president. And this is what's really going on. And then they won't allow me 5 seconds on radio or TV to say anything.
And when the real Gardners and all that were running for president, they had to change their name to Ford.
Yeah. And Greg, how long have you been researching the documents and the things I've told you?
Oh, over a year now.
Yeah, and everything I told you is truth, right?
Oh, geez, everything goes together like just a big,
Yeah, and they're using my family's name so they can run your government.
Yeah.
And they're all coming out of the Queen's properties outside of America, Canada, India, Jamaica, Kenya.
And that's why we saw in this week that Jamaica, you were already exposing how Jamaica is run by the Queen and everything. And so this week, because you did that, I noticed the articles came out that Jamaica is going to remove the Queen as head of state. And I know that's because you've been mentioning it and its connection to Harris.
Get in with and there'll be a big thing about that in the future, just like Markle and Diana's son, how they left London and they're going to live in Canada. Remember, I told you.
Yeah, they were there a few weeks, and then now they're in Netflix in California,
right?
Running Netflix. Yeah,
signed a 10-year contract.
Yeah,
and they'll be your king and queen in the cartoons to brainwash the kids again.
Yeah,
and you realize that, and I told you that 2 years ago, didn't I? Before they moved to Canada.
Yeah.
Did I not tell you that?
Yeah, you did.
Now you see everything I say, it becomes reality.
Yeah.
And 9/11, I didn't really like your Apollo-gate because them stealing my trademark and hiding the 28,000 worldwide entertainment contracts they stole from me, contracts from people like Dolly Parton, Kenny Rogers, Burt Reynolds, even Queen and the Stones. I was the publisher here in America. I was Bottom Line Publishing. They stole all those entertainment contracts, $2 trillion. They had to hide the receipts in the Twin Towers. Had nothing to do with Apollo's gate.
Right. No, I think they just use, when they do it, they use those old esoteric numbers to plan it.
This is the con, Greg, coming out of Switzerland. They tell you, like, they give you Madonna, and she's like the Madonna, God's mother. And then they tell you that they put all these symbolisms and that they're the Illuminati, and they're not.
Right.
Madonna's not the Illuminati. I am.
Right. And that's probably why they use those symbols, Hugh, is because that's their cover up.
Right.
To make people think that when they use those symbols that it's the Illuminati.
And they give you the Apollo gate instead of telling you the truth of it was the Stargate. The Goa'uld signed my publishing license, Greg. But this fake media coming from Switzerland,
I get that,
and the London throne and the Dutch throne in Germany, attacking my family every generation because we kicked King George off the bridge. They tell you I'm the bad guy in the Illuminati, and they
this is why they're doing it. This is why they've got
the murders instead of it being the Stargate from the Goa'uld, which was my legal publishing company from America. It's now the Apollo. You get that? You understand that? And that's how they hide me, Greg. And
that's why they've got Hubbard doing the gematria with Roseanne Barr's backing over there.
Right, exactly. And they're hiding me using Apollo.
And saying, it's MK Ultra and Illuminati.
Right, there you go.
So they're throwing in the numbers.
You know yourself,
but see, at least I know they understand that knowledge in order to create
Dr. O'Brien was my friend, Kathy's father, Dr. O'Brien. I was his sponsor at AA meetings.
Yeah.
Ah.
They're definitely organized and bright to be able to do it like this.
Very organized, Greg. Very organized, and they grew up with me. And they're all the generation that kidnapped me. How old is Roseanne Barr? She's older than me. Dan's older than me. Osborne's older than me. They kidnapped me as a baby, raped me, and they're older than me. And they've been using me my entire life in all media, not just America. Every country on earth, they've used me like that. And it's my American neighbors who I grew up with doing it. Darrell Hall, Osborne, the governor, Blanchard, the governor, Coleman Young, the Barr family, the O'Brien family. These people have used me since the day they kidnapped me and murdered my twin. And they've forged murder records. They've forged everything you can think of, Greg. They've written books and said they killed Hoffa when I'm the guy that was detained for his disappearance. That's all, and Miller was nowhere around Hoffa that day. I and my mother were.
Right.
You understand?
And neither was Anthony Tocco. Right.
And then Hoffa's stepson was Chucky O'Brien. They went to Chucky O'Brien next. And he was my next door neighbor when they were murdering the kids. It's Dr. O'Brien's family. You understand that?
Yeah, I
One
really
big
do.
con coming from the Graham family. Just like you got a con of Anderson Hiles College and the guy raping people.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what
Mm-hmm.
the college guy that's supposedly teaching you about God, he's raping women, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, this is the same con in my life, only it wasn't at that college, it was at Baker College and right at my home on Hoover Street.
But one of your rapists, Anderson, that's the name of the college,
Right,
is
and
Hiles
so,
Anderson.
yeah, and it's all the gay political party, Greg.
Right. And Russell Anderson's right there out of the Detroit area. He goes to a
Yeah,
church
and
there
then
in the Detroit
Kanye's
area now.
part of it in this generation.
Mm-hmm.
All of them. You
Well,
got,
he's older than you. He's an old man. He's probably
yeah, they were the people that kidnapped me were older than me, Greg. And I think I lost you. Are you able to come back, Greg? I'm
I'm
going to
still
end.
here.
Are you still
I'm
here?
still here.
You
Do you
broke
see
up.
me?
Okay, yeah, now I can, but you broke up for a minute. You said that he's an old man. Who were you referring to? Anderson?
Russell Anderson that started Hiles Anderson
Yeah, well,
College,
isn't
yeah.
it amazing that Larry Russell, he died sitting at a bar table with me.
Hmm.
And the names always fit, Greg.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just like,
It's interesting you had Baker's, the Christian College, Baker College there, right there where you grew up,
yeah, it was
and your
built right
family
on
in
Hughes
Baker
Street. Greg, it
College.
was built right there on Hughes Street.
And you had Tammy and Faye Baker, and then your rapist Anderson start Hiles Anderson College. At least the name.
It all happened at the same time, Greg. That's exactly right.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And then everybody thinks he's a good guy, and perhaps, I don't know, maybe he himself might be a good guy. I don't know, but it is really strange that he goes and starts a college, and both the pastor for 30 or 40 years or
Well, there's
whatever,
been
he's
a
out
fight,
raping
Greg.
people, and then
Greg,
his sons
there's
and
been a
his
fight.
son-in-laws are all doing it too.
There's been a fight going on between the churches,
Mm-hmm.
and I was caught in the middle of that church fight at birth. And then along with the church fight, you got the gay political party, and they all convened on me because I'm the son of the president's on your money. Even when Kennedy printed his own picture on the money, remember the gold silver eagle with Kennedy on it, and the
Yeah, yeah.
50-cent piece, and then the first one he minted, he sent to my Uncle Tony and his wife as a Christmas present. The very first one he minted, and then bam, he was dead after talking to me. He said to you Tribune publishers, and there's a picture of me on the front page of the Chicago
Right.
Tribune, and I'm a publisher. Who was he
Mm-hmm.
talking to? As he gave my uncle and aunt a Christmas present of the first gold coin he minted of himself.
Mm-hmm.
So I was involved in that fight between the Catholics and the Protestants and the Church of London at birth, simply because my ancestor, King James, authored that Bible, the King James Bible. And I say authored it because if the monks didn't write what he wanted, he had them beheaded.
And he put all these codes in there too. He took the same code, and those codes go back to Greek and Latin and
Yeah, I
all
know,
these
I
other
know
languages
that.
too.
That's
And
why.
just like they're doing it today.
That's
And
why if I
yeah,
walk into a Catholic church, you see a crucifixion cross, okay,
yeah, uh-huh.
and the initials in the star are IHS, and I'm Hugh Squire. I really know this, Greg.
Yeah, I get it.
All
I
right.
get how they did it all. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But the real priests and the people who did this, they really believed in God, Greg, and they really created this country.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But I'm the bad Illuminati, and because of the people who really murdered all those kids in Oakland County, and the people who really murdered Kennedy, and people like Julian Assange. He raped some little girls in Switzerland. He runs away to a London building, and he becomes America's truther. And who is he? He's a pedophile. He's another one of those gay pedophiles that kidnapped me with Hall and Osborne, hiding me for how many years? Since my uncle or since my cousin Bill Gates got the software to make his first computer from my wife's father, Joe Jacobs, right, at our wedding. Mm-hmm. He handed Gates the software at my wedding, Greg. You understand that? And then I'm the bad guy. They've been hiding me, attacking Bill Gates, attacking anybody that has anything to do with me or the founders of this country.
Yeah, and Bill Gates' family goes literally all the way back to Plymouth. I researched it. They've been in every war
Answer me
since.
this, Greg. If Black lives matter more than my 4 white murdered wives, and they do, because nobody helps me with the murders of my wives. And I got 4 dismembered, murdered wives on 4 different holidays.
Right.
And I have open murder cases they don't solve by design, as the Barr family and the O'Brien family hide my truth with people like Senator Graham and Billy Graham, all right? And even the Pope. The Pope took my middle name after they stole my first and last name. France stole my first name, Germany my last name, and then the Pope took my middle name. And then what's he do? The first thing he says, though, well, we have to forgive the gays because it's just another sin. We got to forgive those poor little gays. I'm tired of hearing about what I got to do when it comes to gay people murdering people.
Yeah.
The gay political party has murdered more kids than any political party I can think of, Greg. They murdered more kids than Custer killed Indians. And nobody says a damn thing. And everybody protects them. Everybody protects them. I'm tired of the con. I'm a straight man. I was attacked at birth by the gay political party. They've murdered kids in my life every day of my life for 7 decades so they can maintain power in this country. And all the women around me protect the poor little gays.
Yeah, it is really sick.
I'm tired of that agenda as the gays murder your president and then frame other people.
Yeah, we need the real history and the real truth to be real crystal clear to people so they can really get this and fight back.
And I'm not mentioning any names, Greg.
Well, let's mention Alex Jones for a second, because we were talking earlier about Queen and Bohemian Rhapsody, and then Alex Jones snuck in with Tucker, Big Jim Tucker, into the Bohemian Grove in California.
My kindergarten playmate, him and Lowry. God.
And then I kept going. Okay, so they snuck into Bohemian Grove to supposedly expose the cult rituals, when in fact Alex Jones did nothing but help protect the real gays and pedophiles with their disinformation. And then Big Jim Tucker began investigating Bohemian Grove, and guess when he started? He started this newspaper called The Spotlight, and guess when it started? 1975 again, the same as the year of Hoffa's murder. It's amazing how it just goes together like this.
I know all this, and then they murdered Jim Mars when he started looking into my truth. And Jim Mars was all over the Oswald story, and that's all I'm going to say. As soon as Jim Mars got my real IRS license and my trademark from Bottom Line and my stolen federal publishing license, he started looking into it, and bam, they murdered him. And you want to know who murdered him? The gay political party from the Bohemian Grove. Yeah, I'll bet you on it. And they run the media in this country, like Coast to Coast, Premier Networks, CNN, Fox, and they all get payola and they get lots of advertising money.
So here I'm going to talk about Fox, because look at this. You had Big Jim Tucker working with the CIA's Alex Jones, and it's real obvious that Alex Jones works for the CIA. And then, okay, so now you have Brent Tucker in Detroit leading the LGBTQ movement in Detroit, and then you have, to supposedly be the other side, you have Tucker Carlson on Fox News, and Tucker is from San Francisco, and guess who he's married to? Susan Andrews, another name of one of your
the person
rapists
that kidnapped me.
Yeah.
But no, I know all this, Greg, and you're the first person in my life that took the time to even just look into what I said. And these people have stalked me. This gay political party has stalked me, murdered kids every day of my life. Some days they'll murder a dozen kids. And this has gone on for 7 decades, so they can be running the government and the media and taking in the money and giving you the lies about how I and my family are the bad guys. And all of this is coming from the London throne, all of it. She's not your friend. And she's definitely not my family's friend. Trust me. My mother had dinner with her on the day that Margaret Thatcher and Cruz tried to get me to move back to London. And I told them, no, thank you. I'm American, and I'm not going to get on my knees and kiss your ass. And that's exactly what I told Margaret Thatcher. Then they murdered her. And then Bob Ford did his cocaine dance, and they framed those 2 little kids for the Boston bombing. And that was all bullshit. That whole media was just propaganda and bullshit, hiding my wife's murder. That was hiding. If you look back when all those events happened, that was when they murdered my wife and Jalea Davis.
Yeah.
And I don't know that. I haven't researched it, Greg. I just know I'm saying truth.
Yeah, they murdered Jalea 19 days after they murdered your wife.
Yeah, and then look at the date of the Boston bombing. I moved here to California. You had the Boston bombing. Cruz was offering me 60 acres in Canada with a nursery and 60 apartments.
Right, and using these numbers makes it look like the Illuminati, because before I met you, I was looking into Jalea Davis, so that's what made sense in my head. I saw all the numbers and the pattern that they use, and said, "Dang, the Illuminati's doing it."
They marked my life so closely, Greg. It looks like it's my fault.
Exactly.
Yeah, they dismember and kill the kids. They throw them on my family's properties. They murdered my wives. They raped, dismembered, and murdered my wives in my house. And then they came and tried to tell me I murdered 2 women. I saved their lives, and they murdered them a second time 100 miles away from me, 30 days after I saved their lives. So they couldn't frame it on me. I found Terry Heath, who is Sarah Heath Palin. That's her family, Terry Heath. She created the Head Start program. They tried to tell me I murdered her. Well, shit, I found her, gave her CPR, revived her, and they murdered her again 30 days later.
That's a huge story that should be all over the media.
No,
okay, they murder a relative of Sarah Palin's family, and 5 years later, she's running for vice president. That should just be worldwide news.
And her and my wife Victoria were murdered by Obama's government, and CBS helped them. Garrett at CBS helped cover up the truth on the Manning Ranch with this BS story of Bradley Manning from the pedophile Julian Assange of WikiLeaks.
Yeah, another freaking pedophile.
All of my American neighbors are so brainwashed. When I say truth, they think I'm lying or they think I'm crazy. And you've researched all this, and you know I'm not crazy, and you know I'm saying the truth.
And when I tell people that Julian Assange is a pedophile, they think I'm from outer space. They can't even freaking Google it just to find out that it's real, you know?
It's just unbelievable how dumbed down Americans really are.
Yeah, they haven't even hid that yet.
That's the only thing
you can still find that on the internet.
The only thing Alex Jones ever said that was truth is that Americans are dumbed down because Alex Jones and Jesse Ventura lied to them.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
They're definitely dumbed down. And Ventura and Austin and DuPont and Jones and even Rand Paul, they profited from 9/11. It covered up what they did to me after murdering all those kids, that gay party they protect.
Mm-hmm.
So go on, read your book.
Okay, that was the end of that part. But I thought about giving you another little part we could talk about here, because we were talking about Bakers and about Oswald, and they also shot Reagan, and they used the same pattern, same numbers, all this stuff when they did that too. So, and here I'm going to do it I'll read this right here. The guy's name that supposedly shot Reagan, well, I guess he did shoot him, but they set him up to do it. Retarded guy or whatever he was. Okay. His name was John Hinckley. So after he shot Reagan, he was released 35 years later. And he just happened to be from Dallas, where JFK, the 35th president, was shot.
Yeah, and well, get this, Greg. They just had the guy that shot John Lennon into Dakota up for parole. His name is Chapman, and the Chapman family lives near me right now with the Nichols family.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah, Nichols from
It's not coincidence. The Nichols family has followed me around every home I lived and lived next door to me in 10 different states.
Which is why you had Nichols in the Oklahoma City bombing, and he was buying and selling drugs there on your property.
Nichols ran against Coleman Young to be mayor of Detroit. And all of these events, the Nichols family moves in next door to wherever I moved to.
Yeah.
And they live with people like Chapman or McVeigh. And
they released Hinckley on September 10. Okay, one day off from September 11.
Let me finish.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Let me finish it. Yeah, that's 9/11. One day off your calculator. I know that. The people listening to this won't, but I do. He was up for parole this week, and they won't parole him. They won't parole Chapman for killing John Lennon.
Yeah.
Because he's the queen. He's the queen's subject, and she knighted him.
Okay. Now, in my mind, you'd think that they're more loyal to her than they are to us.
They are.
So in my mind,
they are.
Think they would release them
from London. They get their
because John Lennon was knighted. Okay, never mind. Not the yeah.
It's the money.
Right. So
they put out an album. They take $90 billion back. She knights them.
Right. So they're protecting him. Right. I get it.
The Beatles were marking my entire family, and nobody.
That makes perfect sense.
Nobody knows that but you and me. The Beatles were marking me. I'm a drummer. I'm the beat. The Go-Go's had the beat. I'm the beat. All right.
Yeah, most people don't even realize that.
They put out an album with lovely Rita Rose. As the bottom line, everybody in my band was a Vietnam vet returned, and we were entertaining troops on the Rose Farm. And 10 years later, they had Woodstock with Hanoi Jane, and they buried the people loyal to America with the London's Woodstock, and she knighted everybody that murdered your president and brought you drugs. The Beatles brought you Haight-Ashbury, LSD, Yellow Submarine. She knighted them. Yeah,
well, the Queen's a big drug pusher. That's what Hong Kong's all about.
But she's your friend, Greg. She knights everybody that hurts your country. She knights them.
Right.
And she just
wants to sell everybody drugs.
You have the British invasion in all American media. She knights them, and what it amounts to is they're bringing you drugs, promoting gays and her gay political party that has completely destroyed. They gutted America.
Yeah.
And then people like Jesse Ventura, where does he live? Oh, he goes and lives in Mexico. Gee, why?
Yeah. Well, the son goes to Russia.
And then he comes back after 5 years in Mexico, and he wants to be your American president.
Yeah.
After lying about, he wants the truth of Kennedy's murder in Hoffa for how many years now? He's lied since '63 about that on a Russian TV station.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he and his son are working on RT, their Russian TV right now.
Yeah. And Trump is friends with Putin. Well, here's news for everybody. Putin is my cousin, Greg. There's no lie in that. He's one of the Rose family's cousins. And the Rose family is the Rose family in Texas, who was the governor of Texas at one time, Clarence Rose.
Your uncle? Or a different Clarence Rose?
Same family, Greg.
Oh, okay. Oh, I know. It's the guy that piloted the Enterprise was Clarence Rose.
He piloted the Enterprise during the Vietnam War. He was piloting it when it caught on fire. Remember when it caught on fire and a whole bunch of sailors died?
Okay. Oh, yeah, that had something to do with McCain, didn't it?
the Enterprise then. He was on the Enterprise and he was piloting it. And he always tells me whenever I see him that he was amazed they allowed him to do that. I'm not.
Wow.
Because my family is Admiral Byrd. I know why they did that.
Huh.
Kennedy was in the Navy. My father was in the Navy with Kennedy. My murdered wives were all in the Navy with Kennedy in World War II. They murdered 4 women whose fathers were Navy World War II veterans on submarines and destroyers with Kennedy. And there's none of them even got an obituary, Greg. And you know yourself, I live with a family of a Navy man right now.
Was that fire related to John McCain, or am I thinking of a different incident?
Yeah, McCain was a pilot on one of the battleships.
Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm.
And then there was another battleship in Vietnam with the Enterprise, and the name slips me. But the guy there who ran the communications, he's my friend here. We know each other, and he's working at a Walmart right now. And we talk about when he came on the Enterprise and talked to Claire Rose in the communications room. My story is truth, Greg.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's real clear. It makes a lot of sense to me.
Even Dan Cooper, the fake FBI name of D.B. Cooper, who died at my high school, D.B. Cooper.
Yeah.
Racing my friend in a car I helped paint. All right, a 57 Chevy, and D.B. Cooper was in a racing Zabritsky and Orlowski down Mound Road in front of Hamilton Chevrolet, and he got lost control and hit a telephone pole and died. That was the original D.B. Cooper. The FBI gave D.B. Cooper that fake name and said he hijacked an airplane. Back when I was playing at Sherry's Lounge, and Sherry and George Waldo helped frame Oswald, and then Sherry Waldo just died next door to me, 3 years ago. I
love how they keep framing everybody with the hijacking airplanes, because guess what they said about John Hinckley that shot Reagan? Oh, he dreamed of hijacking airplanes.
Yeah. And Reagan had just left my college and talked to me. He talked to me for the afternoon. And
yeah, isn't that amazing? Like a day after he talked to you.
Greg, I left the college, went across the street, the Biondi brothers who owned Premier. They were hit over the head with hammers. As I performed, we left and they were hit over the head with hammers, leaving their own restaurant and lounge.
Premier network that runs coast to coast. Yep.
Across the street on Clinton Road, across the street from my college, Reagan had just been at. Reagan gets shot by Hinckley, and then Premier Networks gets changed. It changes hands after the Biondo brothers are hit over the head, and then you get Art Bell minus Hugh. I don't exist.
Yeah.
And this is how it works, Greg.
Yeah.
And it's all done by the great gay political party, and I'm telling you the truth. That's just like Ruby Ridge. They framed my family member, Mr. Harris, for a shotgun that was a 1/16 of an inch too small, and they came to him and asked him to saw it off for them. Then they arrested him, and then it ended up they paid a wrestler who had stolen my trademark with DuPont.
Yeah, Valentina, Rico Valentina.
$250,000, and they killed a little 11-year-old boy protecting gay bars. Remember?
It's always the gay pedophiles. Yeah, and wrestling's part of it.
People who murdered John FK. And they're protecting the gay people, Greg.
Yeah.
Straight people don't matter. Black lives matter, but 4 white women whose fathers all fought alongside Kennedy in the Navy, they don't matter, Greg. They cover them up. But Black lives matter.
Yeah.
And I'm the Illuminati. I want to kill everyone.
Right, and they're the ones that are actually the real organized.
They're spreading the bullshit about our country's founders, right? If Black Lives mattered, Greg, instead of tearing down, how many statues did they tear down of my family? 100? If Black Lives mattered, why didn't they tear down 100 gay black bars selling drugs?
Yeah, there you go. That would really...
Yeah, Black lives don't matter. This is all bullshit. Their lives don't matter any more than my wives' lives mattered. This is a political takeover by the people who murdered your president, hiding me, period.
Yeah, yeah, it's a real coup. It really
And
is.
did you see the post I put up today along with Powell, the head of the Federal Reserve? They shot my cousin, Mr. Martin, in Ohio today. Did you see that?
I saw that one. Hmm.
Yeah, that's my cousin. That's also the family I live with. That's Dean Martin's family.
Huh.
That was Mary Martin. She played Peter Pan. Who else played Peter Pan, Greg?
I don't remember.
Robin Williams,
Oh, right, right,
my
yeah.
cousin
Hmm.
from Birmingham, Michigan.
Yeah, and you just went right by his house, and he was killed just a few
Yeah, he
minutes
was
later.
murdered. He was murdered 3 minutes after I arrived at his house. That's correct, Greg.
Yeah.
And then
Hmm.
Jim Mars was murdered as I went to Squire Boone Caverns, leaving Rand Paul's house. And Rand Paul's great-grandfather was my business manager, and he sold me out to the Russian mafia in New York before he was born.
Yeah, they literally, when
And
you
my
drive from one
family
coast
was
to the other,
mugging
they
Fort
follow
Knox
you. It's
in
unreal.
Vietnam before Rand Paul was born.
Yeah. I'm amazed at these people that are targeted individuals, but when I tell that they're all frustrated that nobody listens to their story, and then I tell the people that say they're targeted individuals your story and they don't listen. It's unreal. It's unbelievable. And
Because
you're the most targeted individual I've ever heard of.
because my story is truth and their story.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Most of the
Hmm.
people that are coming to you have talked to me and they totally ignore my
Yeah,
truth and they make it their
exactly.
own.
Right.
And
Yep.
you've watched people do that.
Yep. Just like Roseanne Barr.
So,
Now, let's see. John Hinckley supposedly had a crush on Jodie Foster, who just happened to play a 12-year-old sex trafficking victim in the movie Taxi Driver, while Danny DeVito's TV series Taxi just happened to premiere one day off from September 11 on September 12.
yeah, and there's a lot of other movies that marked my life. My mother was raised in a foster home because they murdered her sisters and her mother with a semi on Clinton Road, leaving church. And then they murdered her remaining sisters' kids in their driveways with semis. Um,
Well, and more particularly with the taxi drivers, okay, and
that's
you
Alan
moved
Akers.
into Oregon, and that's when they.
That's the homicide detective and Danny DeVito, DeVi 2.
Hmm.
Violet is my mother and my sister-in-law, Violet.
Hmm.
My mother-in-law and her and my sister-in-law.
Isn't that weird how they put that on right on September 12th?
Italian Devi too, Levi too, and Danny raped my daughter, as Alan Akers was
Yeah.
having sex with my wife in front of my daughter when she was in a high chair. And you get Danny DeVito, and then I moved here to California, and they murdered Huey Houston in a cab.
Right.
Yeah,
That
and
was what I was.
that's the government media just hiding my truth of Kennedy with
Right.
murders,
Right.
and they do it daily. You know they do it daily.
Yeah. And look how well they organized this. They killed Lincoln at Lincoln died supposedly at 2:27, I'm sorry, at 7:22 a.m. and Reagan died at 2:27 p.m.
Yeah,
Exact
it's
reverse.
always
Pi.
organized, and it's coming. The murders of the presidents are all coming from the same people, and it's the gay political party coming from London.
Yeah,
And
and
they've
you
been
had
attacking
actors and
every
gay actors and
generation.
Flynn
Greg,
right
they have
there.
been attacking every generation of my family since 1776. And I don't
Yeah.
think it, I know
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, and a lot of gays have been involved, even all the way back then.
Yeah, yeah.
I have no doubt it was a gay attack on Lincoln.
No, that's how they hide. Kill somebody and then they go back and, oh, that poor little guy, he wouldn't hurt a flea.
Hmm.
You know, and they do some of the most heinous crimes on earth, especially cross-dressers. And anybody don't believe me, go to the FBI and look up the profiles on
Right.
cross-dressers and see what kind of murders they commit.
Right. That's why I think that when federal troops arrested um, Jefferson Davis, that I think they dressed him in a dress. I don't think he was dressed in a dress trying to escape. My opinion is they probably dressed him up and put that story in there because they were telling future generations that this was a gay attack on your country that killed the president. That's what I really think happened. That's just my opinion. I can't prove it, but that, you know, they apprehended Jefferson Davis wearing a dress.
Greg, you're probably 100% truth, because look at gay Chelsea Manning, and they used him just to distract away from my Terry Heath murder and Victoria Mellon's murder on the Manning Ranch. And Manning, the ranch, co-created the JFK archives, which is complete bullshit. Everybody in the archives framed Oswald, and they were all gays. And
All
I don't
gays
think
and pedophiles, yeah.
I don't think it. I know it. I lived it.
Right.
But they won't let me talk. I can't get 20 seconds on radio or TV. They just cut me right off.
Yeah, because they own that too. And it's not the Illuminati owns it,
Correct.
it's a bunch of gays.
The senators own the TV and radio stations, and I stopped their gun and drug trade.
Right.
And you know I did.
Yeah, and they're working with the Queen.
That's when
I get it.
That's when they murdered my fiance Kiki, and her the CIA agent mirroring her was Kiki Camarino. And that's all the way back in '70s. I was my next full moon video. I'm going to talk about Ann Nelson a little bit. This nurse who quit working for Dr. O'Brien, and she used to steal his prescription pads. I'm going to talk about her for a while.
Yeah, Kiki's aunt. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and this is not a conspiracy theory. I lived it.
Yeah, it's not a theory when you saw it happen.
No, I lived it, Greg. I lived it.
Right.
I went to jail for a year right after meeting Ann Nelson.
Yeah.
My own brother raped my fiance right in front of my kids, and the Nelson family is from Missouri. That's Ricky Nelson's family. I lived this.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a theory. Anybody calls me a theory or crazy, is just an idiot.
Yeah, Ricky Nelson had an Indian headdress, and I couldn't find that it was made by Chief Redbird, but I did find Chief Redbird and his daughter, the princess of the tribe up there in the Smithsonian archives. So it was really interesting. And you said that Chief Redbird made a bunch of headdresses, and then Nelson's related to Kiki.
They're in the Smithsonian next to my family. And Judy Garland's shoes, the Wizard of Oz, Osborne, and Jack Ruby's shoes, the guy that murdered Oswald for the gays to hide him, to hide them. And on and on and on, Greg. I grew up with.
I'm just wondering if Chief Redbird actually made that big Indian headdress for him. That's interesting.
I don't know, but he made for 30 presidents. He made every president a headdress, and he ceded his power to the president as they were elected.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I believe the last headdress he made was probably for Obama, and if not Obama, Clinton. But he gave every president right in the White House a headdress, a complete Indian chief headdress that he made sitting on his back porch or sitting at his employment.
Yeah. And his relatives knew and seemed to have been protecting some of the gays that attacked you.
The Osborne family are that Indian family's best friends.
Exactly. It's unreal.
No, I'm a white man. Indians and black people hate me, Greg. So does King George's family. My own cousins hate me. I moved away from my whole family, Greg, because they did things I didn't like steal my inheritance, and I had a big inheritance.
Yeah, they were all thieves and murderers. Everybody, all your relatives were into that.
Yeah,
they were pretty evil people.
Them. A long time, 45 or 50 years. And when I was a young man, I moved away.
Your own brother that you helped for all those years recover from being blown up in Vietnam, he turns around and rapes your fiance right in front of your kids. It's unreal.
Not just my kids, her kids too, Greg.
Yeah.
Yeah, very unreal. And he had a Congressional Medal of Honor. That's correct. And I have very low esteem for veterans who return from the war, killing people and raping women, telling me they say they did it for me and they made me free. That didn't make me free. It destroyed my life. I don't buy this make America great again coming from the veterans. It's just, this is a propaganda machine and they kill innocent people. 9/11 was not done by Saddam Hussein. I'm sorry, but everybody that went to that war, you murdered 2 million innocent people. And I don't think it, I know it, I lived it.
Right.
And what you did not make me free. It didn't protect me from a damn thing.
Right. Right.
And my own American neighbors dismembered and murdered 4 of my wives. And your news media is still covering it up.
And all it did was help the Queen sell more opium.
7 decades I've been covered up in American media. And I'm the ancestor of the president who authored the Declaration of Independence. I'm on all the money. Hamilton. I used to pick up Hamilton and Grant, drive them to church with me at St. Anne's, and I'm the Jackson family. I'm the 20.
And Lincoln went to school with you too. So you had Lincoln, Grant, Hamilton,
Lincoln
all of them.
went to county line with me as Johnny Cash walked me coming out of prison. That's correct. And my friend Senator Dewey, his family built the prison. Johnny Cash was put into. You know, I'm tired of the cover-up, Greg. And you know I'm going to make these videos till I die, whether anybody believes me or not. 100, 1,000 years in the future, people are going to look back and they're going to realize this guy was saying truth all along.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, this will be real history someday. I'm aware of that. To anybody that wants to know the real truth.
Well, we just have
There'll always be the cover-up and the lies.
For the right gaze to die off, Greg.
Right. Right.
And you're aware of that.
I understand. Huh.
So let's end it there. Unless you have something else.
No, I think that's it.
I'm going to try and get that guy you hired. He really butchered your book, and I'm going to try to finish editing.
Sure did. Never gave me a refund on it either.
To find where I left off editing that second chapter, and then another fire started and it got smoky here again.
Yeah.
And I had helicopters right here in Grants Pass putting the fire out, and I'm really having a hard time breathing, Greg.
Yeah, I don't know which is worse, the smoke or the stuff they dump on it, probably.
Well, I think it shortened my life.
Yeah.
I could breathe talking to you here now, but I've only had 2 hours sleep in 2 days. I make my own oxygen here. And if I walk outside to take the dog out, it's just like, it gags me. And then the ash is raining down. And I know that there's dozens and dozens of dead people in that ash raining down on me. So I'm breathing in dead people.
We had one day here a week or so ago that I could tell it was the ash coming this way, thousands of miles away, because the entire sky was hazy. Yeah. And
well, these fires are
different color.
I don't care what they tell you in the media. These are arson. I've watched the police arrest people starting them.
Sure.
And I and all my neighbors, we know these fires are being set intentionally.
Yeah. And when we tell people that, they flag our videos, but then the media comes out a few days later and admits it.
They started setting these fires when they killed Bledsoe, Smith, Waldo, and Lawson. 4 families that helped frame Oswald before Ruby murdered him. And they died in the Paradise Fire, which was arson. And I don't think it, I know it. And the people who live here, we know these fires are arson. They blame it on the power company. They'll blame it on lightning. They'll blame it on anything but the truth.
Right.
All
Right.
right. And then they'll arrest somebody, and 3 months later it comes out, oh, they started a fire and a town burned down. 3 months after the fact. You know. So I don't know what that's all about. Maybe they're protecting those idiots who start the fires. That's how they can give them a fair trial by saying they didn't start the fire. I don't know. The logic behind that is just ridiculous. When you have fires all over the Midwest all at once, and you know damn well people are starting them, you should tell the residents, people are starting fires in your neighborhoods. Watch out for them, and if you see them, shoot them.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
That ended real fast.
They do anything but tell you the truth.
Yeah.
And that's not a conspiracy theory. They arrested a guy for that town next to me here, the Phoenix fire.
Yeah.
And then, you know, Greg, I supported the Phoenix Center when I was a young man. I paid for their office for, 3 or 4 years. That's being done on purpose, these fires.
Yeah, people always send you the videos of
in
these
my
things.
life, Greg, I went to the top of a mountain where they have a museum for Pratt and Behringer. And Pratt and Behringer were my neighbors when I was kidnapped at 4.
The right people always seem to know, that they're marking you, because they'll send you the videos of going down the road and torching trees, or you'll be on the phone with the guy crashing the helicopter into the tower in
my neighbors come and
New York City.
My neighbor, I live here, Greg, where the fires are. I live here. My neighbors came to me and told me they watched a guy start the fire.
Oh, okay. So they just told you about it on this.
And then the news say, oh, it was natural causes. Yeah, right. So my neighbors are lying to me.
Yeah.
And then if I call into the police to make a report, bam, they hang up on me. They don't want the truth, Greg. I just told you they murdered Lawson, Bledsoe, Smith, and Waldo during the fires last year and the year before. Anybody can go to the JFK archives and look up Bledsoe, Smith, Lawson, and Waldo and see they helped frame Oswald. But people are too lazy to look up things, and you know that.
Yeah.
And then
Definitely.
It's easier for them to just say I'm a liar and I interjected myself into this. It's easier for them with their mentality. I'm real tired of that. That's why I make these videos. And I'll always make fun of the people who make fun of me because they're idiots. And nothing. If I could I possibly make up the story I told you over the past year?
Well, the details are thousands of names, and you always say the same names every single time, which would be impossible to do if you were making it up.
And then
it's not like you have any notes,
And then it all fits together like OJ's glove, right?
Yeah, right.
And I went to Furman School, correct?
Right.
Yeah, so Furman framed Oswald, and OJ was an NFL player, and the first bar I ever played in was an NFL lounge.
Yeah. And he was released the day of the Las Vegas shooting. And the next day, Tom Petty dies.
Yeah, and then my uncle Bugsy Siegel, my cousin Bugsy Siegel, built Las Vegas. And then who was Frank Sinatra, Greg?
He's actually your uncle by marriage.
Yeah. But I'm a liar and I interject myself into these.
Yeah. Right. And you even know some of the people that he knew still today.
Yeah. And I was playing with people like Bobby J. Who was Bobby J? Oh, he was playing in Vegas with Bobby Darin and Wayne Newton. And then remember the movie I showed you Wayne Newton just made about a kid that owns a Playboy magazine?
No, I don't remember, but go ahead.
Wayne Newton, he's made a movie. It's on, you can see it online for free. I showed it to you. You probably didn't watch it. This 15-year-old kid in high school, he gets a Playboy magazine. He inherits it. Oh, kind of like I knew Hugh Hefner and Vargas, painting Marilyn Monroe in the Playboy centerfold at the book building.
Yeah, yeah,
at the book building, Greg.
yeah. You're delivering there to Vargas, and he
Yeah, and
paints
they framed
Marilyn
Oswald.
Monroe,
Oswald was sitting in the book building shooting Kennedy. Yeah, right.
right? Yeah, and Monroe is right underneath.
And then I rented a factory from Ruby. You know, this is
Yeah,
and Ruby is my birthstone, Greg. I made all this up,
yeah,
and you know I've been telling you, I've been saying this forever, and nobody listens. If they don't see it on TV or the radio, which gives you fake news and hides the truth from you, then I don't exist.
hmm
Oh, his
hmm
wives weren't murdered. They can't even find an obituary. Alex Jones didn't put one in his newspaper, did he?
right, right.
Yeah, and you see, they got all the bases covered, that gay political party.
Yeah. So you
And they
had
all
Hugh
profited.
Hefner.
And they all profited from 9/11, Greg, and they still are. They're profiting from 9/11.
hmm And
And
then they marked you with
I'm the bad guy. I'm the bad guy. I murdered all those kids and Jimmy Hoffa and my wives.
they marked you with Hugh Jackman, and of course that's a sort of a perverted way of saying what they did to you when in Osborne's
Yeah, that's
basement.
why he got a job, Greg. Billionaires can do that.
And he played the Wolverine, which
Yeah,
is
and
what they
then
call somebody from
yeah, and I
Michigan.
was kidnapped in Michigan. You're not telling me nothing I don't know. And all of it's like that. Even Superman was like that, Greg.
Hmm.
Terry Heath, Olson. Well, who's Perry Olson? Superman.
Mhm.
And then they give you MK Ultra, Frank Olson, Superman.
I was really interested also about Reagan that, and I didn't read up high enough a few paragraphs before where I started there, but we were talking about your relatives, the Bakers there, and you know, when Reagan was killed, there were, quote, very few people that saw him in the hospital, or not killed, but when Reagan was shot, there were very few people who saw him in the hospital. And one of those people was Senator Baker. And I have to
Yeah,
wonder
no,
in my head,
no. Every
I
word
bet
I,
he was there
Greg, every
hoping
word
that
I
he
speak,
didn't make it.
every word I speak is gospel, Greg, and I think you're realizing that. I don't lie.
hmm hmm
Um,
Just like the other gays, Perry, Malcolm Perry was there with JFK as the doctor in the hospital that he went to.
let me make it clear for anybody that watches this video. Cook and Perry are my second wife, who's still alive, and her family murdered my next four wives, stalking me.
hmm
And they also murdered Jimmy Hoffa.
hmm
But you've never heard the truth.
Yeah, yeah.
And then that same
It's
family pretends to be my children's real parents, real grandparents, and they're not.
and there they are, right there.
They even bought graves in my family cemetery and got buried right in my family cemetery just to
And
make the
Perry,
story
yeah,
look
and
real.
Perry's right there, right
Just like
there.
Kamala Harris Emhoff is using the Harris name. They make
Yeah.
it look like it's real history, and it's not. It's completely fake history.
Mm,
And it's all
yeah.
hiding me and my truth
Yeah,
of
you telling the truth is going to set a lot of history straight.
yeah, they're hiding the truth of who really murdered the Kennedys. And I'm a
Because
cause
all this stuff they're jumbling up and turning around and intentionally lying about, and you're setting it all straight for future researchers.
trying to, trying to, Greg. But you know this. These people that stole my birth name and my trademark and 28,000 worldwide entertainment contracts, all of them worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Imagine owning a song from Kenny Rogers when he was getting his Academy Award. I owned them. I was his
Right.
publisher. Okay, they stole all that from me, Greg. One song, like The Gambler, $100 million. That's what it was worth.
Yeah. Yeah, people don't
That's why
realize
they
the full
had to
value of
hide.
these songs.
On 9/11, they had to hide the theft.
Yeah.
All those receipts were in the Twin Towers.
Mhm.
And then who profited and who knew that those receipts were in the towers? My competition. Who was my competition? Other Americans.
Mills.
Other Americans, correct. Right. And then they blamed it on Saddam Hussein, who was telling the truth.
And Mills
And then
ran the,
everybody bought the bullshit story, didn't they?
yeah. Mills took the
All the
pictures
kids, all
on
the
9/11.
kids went and killed 2 million Arabs over a lie. It was a complete lie. And I'm sitting here telling them, as my trademark and name are being stolen and my wife's murdered, and everybody ignores me. This is going on 20 years now.
Yeah, your competition, Stanley Mills, and then you had Doug Mills taking the pictures of George W. Bush on 9/11 in the kindergarten
class. I was kidnapped out of.
You had Mills and DuPont that owned the horses that Jacqueline Kennedy was riding.
It's just unbelievable, Greg. And nobody listens to truth. Nobody. They're too busy listening to pedophiles and FBI agents killing 11-year-olds, protecting gay people who run the media. And this is what's really going on.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's really not that hard to see for anybody that wants to take the time to put it together.
Did you have anything else going on, Greg?
I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
You were right.
You kind of surprised me tonight. I didn't know he was going to make a video, so we started off a little slow. My brain wasn't prepared.
I didn't know I was going to make this video either, and it's going to be a long one. It's probably a couple of hours now. I'm going to end it here, and then I'm going to send you a new invite after this video loads, and I'll upload this to you like I always do, so you can put it on your YouTube channel if you want.
Yeah.
It's good seeing you. I haven't even talked to you in 2 weeks because of these fires.
Yeah.
I'm really having a hard time breathing. I lost the vision in one eye. I'm gonna try to do your book. If I can't, I'll just tell you I can't do it, and you're gonna have to find somebody else.
Yeah.
It's really hard. I try to read, and all I see is nothing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I told you I was losing my vision. It's true. I am.
Yeah.
All this smoke hasn't helped, and you know I won't go to doctors because they murdered me.
Sure.
I showed you that that song by Billy Joel as I was with Billy Rose at Joe's bar playing music.
We didn't start the fire.
You got Billy Joel in New York as they stole my birth name and trademark, and yeah, we didn't start the fire. And he actually names the doctor that murdered me in the song, Pastor Nick.
All right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the Pastor Nick wasn't my doctor. And Billy Joel, who I was playing his music in Joe's bar, Cavi's, which is Cavuto on Fox. He actually names Pastor Nick in his song.
Yeah, I heard you play it.
Marilyn Monroe.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and Vargas was my friend, and I would give him his tools to airbrush Marilyn Monroe and all the Playboy centerfolds in the book building.
Mm-hmm.
It's just unbelievable, my life, and nobody believes it, and it's 100% truth.
Yeah.
And then if I tell people, who's going to believe this, Greg? I own Smoky Mountain Ministries. I was co-owner of Smoky Mountain Ministries in Bulls Gap with Johnny Cook, Willie Nelson's guitar player. Who would believe that? And it's 100% truth, Greg.
Mm-hmm.
You know, nobody believes anything I say. They think I'm interjecting myself into things. This is how misinformed Americans are. Farm Aid, Willie Nelson and Farm Aid. Well, Willie, Willie, he liked making Jeeps, and he lived on the corner of Hoover Street when I was 3 years old, Greg. And nobody will ever believe that. And I now work for Wagner. Wagner was Elvis Presley. That's his family. We made Jeeps. We made Willie's Jeeps. Mm-hmm. And then I ran Willie's Smoky Mountain Ministry with Johnny Cook as guitar player. Okay, in Bulls Gap, Tennessee, where they murdered my wives, on the Manning Ranch. And CBS covered it all up with Cook and Perry, my second wife's family, who pretend to be the real parents to my children they kidnapped from their mother. It's unbelievable, Greg, my life. And these are Indians and black people and just dirty gay Americans who like to rape and dismember little kids, stealing from me for 7 decades now. And all of you are misinformed because of that. Because of
That's some real powerful truth.
Because of Oakland County Sheriff, Macomb County Sheriff, and Del Towers at my high school, and Aschenberg from Boston, where Kennedy was born, with Webster, who funded my school. They all covered up my truth as they murdered the Kennedy family and protected the gays who did it. I'm tired of saying it. I'm going to let you go and end this, and I'll send you another link back, and we'll talk some more, Greg. I'm ending it now. Bye.